Hey again, in this speech I'm going to try and explain using contrast in autobiographic writing simply. Now it sounds pretty simple, which is kind of the whole point, but it is actually rather confusing. There is a whole lot to writing an autobiography, whether it's trying to incorporate vivid literary imagery or making your viewers invested in your book. It takes work and it takes practice. But through this English course I've been going on, it has become very obvious to me that one of the best techniques in writing is using contrast. This use of contrast can be used to either give people insight into your thoughts and your opinions, or how it is more commonly used, providing that literary imagery we were talking about earlier. Now, what do I mean by contrast? I mean comparing two different things, whether it is two different people, two different places, or two different times in history, which I found very common in ex-slaves' autobiographies. Now, a couple of examples to help get my point across are like how I read Booker T. Washington. He compared the Tuskegee Institute in its later days to when the first students had arrived. It had grown from this poor school, barely holding on, to this rather fancy school, I must say. It was big, it was painted, it had chandeliers, which doesn't sound like much, but it's really fancy for the day. Or you can read how Kordakov compared what he saw of the believers and how they were actually these really good people that weren't causing any harm. And he compares this to what his boss had told him in the book The Persecutor. Now, the believers were good people, right? They weren't trying to harm anyone, they weren't doing anything bad. But his boss had told him that they were extremely dangerous people, especially the little young ones. Now, I know it sounds really simple using contrast, but it is much more complicated than I'm making it seem. It has to be done at the right moments, and it has to be done in the right examples, or your book will just be jumbled like Mark Twain's autobiography, for example. His book was very jumbled, it was very disjointed, and it didn't make much sense. You couldn't see what the lesson of the book was, or what the point he was trying to get across was. Now, writing an autobiography, it is a confusing process, which is why many people either fail, or they never even attempt to write one. I hope everything that I just said in this, it's pretty short speech, it makes sense and that I got my point across. I was trying to keep it simple and not elaborate too much because, I don't know, I could explain this for probably 20 minutes if I wanted to. There is a whole lot to it, but that's not the point of this speech. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.